Making effective selections when we want to cut out or isolate a subject can be a frustrating experience. The problem is that we amateur photographers don't do quite enough of this type of work to build up the necessary experience. Now, I think a detailed cutout often requires a little more time and patience than some amateurs are willing to give. In that case, I would suggest your selection is made a bit at a time. So here I'm going to use the wooden soldier that I use from video 16, the concept of layers. I'm going to let Photoshop do the hard work, then we're going to use Photoshop techniques to repair the selection. Because if I go to select and select subject, it does a reasonably good job, but it's far from perfect. If I zoom in quite a bit here, we can see we've got a problem at the top. We've got a bit of a ragged selection around the edge here. Doesn't look too bad on the right. So what we can do here is to repair the selection. It's going to be slightly quicker, isn't it? Because some of the selection has been done pretty well. So we can keep what works and we can repair what doesn't. But to make this a little more easy to do, we can do it a bit at a time, just in case there's quite a bit to do. And we can save the selection as we go, so there's never any fear of losing it. So navigating to the top, let's fix that part at the very top first. Possibly we could even select that with the magic wand, but let's use the polygonal lasso. And from the options along the top of the screen here, I need this one, which is remove from a selection. And when I select it, you'll see a little minus sign. So I can click and leave this elasticated type thread. I can drop onto the edge there and then move around the edge in short steps. So I'm just clicking down every so often just to go around there, tidying that up really nicely. Then I can gather all of the rest of that up. And there we have it. If we wanted to do the part down the left side of the hat, here we're adding to a selection. So we need this option and we'll see the little plus. Again, simple to do, just click inside, go to the edge, click, 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 and down. And we'll go down a little further. I can tidy that edge up a little bit there too, but then I can move in, so I'm adding one selection to another. Now, to make sure we never lose any of the selection that we're making and repairing, we need to go to Select, Save a Selection. The channel is going to be created new and we'll just call it Soldier. And OK. Let me find another repair here. Quickly go to the shoulder part here. I've gone a little bit too far, so I need to come back down. I need to see the edge clearly. So here I've got to add to my selection. So polygonal lasso tool, I've got the add tool. I'll start down here because I'm coming up here and around. I'm going to tidy up that edge and up to the top. It pays to do this nice and carefully along the top there, then around that curve, click, 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 shorter steps, and you can create a curve with a tool that only makes straight lines. And then we can join up and you can see that's exactly what we need to do. Now, assuming that I'd done enough that I wanted to save a bit more, once again we go back to the select menu, save the selection. This time we select the soldier, but then we can add to the channel because we've added a little more, and click OK. So now I can close this down. I can come back tomorrow and I can retrieve this. Let me demonstrate how we do that. It's exactly the same way really as we've just created it, but I'll remove the selection. Let's assume we've opened this back up another day. Back to the select menu. Now we load a selection. There's the soldier. Click OK, and we can pick up where we left off, and maybe that would be on the right side to make a selection around and over the shoulder and down. But you can see there are some areas here which are going to be pretty good. So we've got the choice to select the subject and then repair the selection, accepting some of the work that Photoshop's done. But I actually chose to do the whole thing manually when I originally created this a few years ago. But the selection I created is still there because I saved it as I went. So if I go to my select menu and load selection, there's my soldier cutout, and there we have it. Now if I were to hit Ctrl J, copy it to a new layer, turn off the one beneath and zoom in, we can see we've got a pretty good selection, and I think it would pass muster for most of the work we're going to do. But of course there is even a better way to work. Let me just drop that in the bin. Just going to take that lock off of there, and I'm going to recreate that selection same way. Select, load selection and soldier cutout, because it would be better to create a mask. If I click the mask even notices that there's a selection there, so it's masked away all of the background. What's the plus to using a mask? Well, as we start to work around our image, and as we start to see any areas that maybe we've made a mistake, maybe I'd left too much here, well, I can select the appropriate color, select the mask. I thought I saw a little bit of black here somewhere. There's a little bit around there. So what we could do with here is to select the mask, make sure we've got black as our foreground color, pick up our brush, just a soft edge brush. I've got a flow rate of about 10%, so that little black area there, I could just take it away. It's very insignificant here, but of course it could be significant in some of the images we work on. So by having a mask, we effectively can make any repairs at any time. Just save it as a Photoshop file, of course, and the mask will be retained. So in some scenarios, our selections or masking is going to require some attention to detail. When we have an image like this, where the main subject is clearly defined against the background, then the select subject is going to be more successful. But even here we have a little weakness on the beak, but in this scenario I would probably just pick up my magic wand tool, make sure I've got the add to a selection checked, and we can pick up what's been missed. So with subjects like this one that has a fussy background, and of course our soldier, the select subject is going to need a little bit of help from us to some degree. But with some other subjects, such as this, with the polygonal lasso tool and straight edges, we can make a selection of this pretty quick, completely manually. I'll see you next time.